Okay, what is I just want to make sure I don't look homeless. You know what I'm saying? So, welcome back to my channel where my dog ruins everything. Like, stop. So, like I was saying, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be making a video on how I got my first apartment at 18. So, first things first, I'm going to tell the story about how I got the apartment, why I got the apartment, and why it couldn't wait, and then I'm going to go into advice and tips. So, it was the summer of my junior year. I was going to be a senior, and basically during my junior year, my family and I ran into some issues, and those issues essentially required that I get my own apartment in my name. I would still be living with my mom, but the apartment would be in my name. So, the summer before my senior year, I did have to get an apartment in my name. So, a couple of resources that my mom used, or that we both used, is a bunch of different websites that were able to give us insight on the apartments, the features, what we needed, what they allowed, things of that nature. And essentially, we just looked for a couple months, and then we also drove around different complexes to see if those were anything that we would be interested in. Unfortunately, none of them really were. I kind of wanted to stay in the same area. Part of the reason is because I went to school in Highlands Ranch, as well as I had a job in Lone Tree. Highlands Ranch and Lone Tree are very close to each other, so I wanted a apartment in that area. However, in those areas, they're very, 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 very expensive. So, everybody just wants to move to Colorado. They want to bring up our rent prices. Like, it's okay. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah. So, basically, we looked around for a couple months, and we finally found one that was good for us, basically. This is going to be all over the place. This video really is. So basically, I also want to touch on the fact that I did purchase a phone before applying for the apartment, like months in advance, like since I turned 18. The reason for that being is because I wanted to build my credit just in case I needed credit. So just in case I wanted to play it safe. So I purchased a phone in my name with Sprint. That's the only carrier pretty much that I could go with because they accepted no credit applicants. So basically I had no credit and I got accepted, and I was able to get a phone in my name and make payments on the phone to build my credit. So that is the first thing I did. The next couple things that my mom and I did was we went to this apartment, we asked them what requirements they needed, how much the rent was going to be. We asked all the necessary questions. So this apartment did not need a credit check. This apartment did not need renter's history, and this apartment did not need like 4 times the rent. It didn't need any of those things. The one thing it needed was just proof of income to show that we would be able to pay for the apartment. So that is what I did. I printed out a month's worth of pay stubs, and I brought them to the apartment complex, and I showed them that I was able to make the monthly rent, as well as my grandpa was also technically co-signing. So with both of our income, we were both able to make the rent. So that was no issue. And I waited a couple of days, and I finally heard back, and we were accepted for the apartment. And it was about a month until we were able to move in. My dog is so annoying. So it was about a month away from until we were able to move in. So we waited that month, we moved in, and a piece of cake, really. I have not ran into any issues at this apartment complex. Actually, I'm really thankful that I found this apartment complex because it does allow me to build my renter's history, as well as the utilities and the renter's insurance that I have for this apartment will help build my credit. So within about a year or two, I will be able to apply for a different apartment and hopefully get approved. So it's a pretty simple. I feel like honestly people have a harder time getting an apartment, but for me it was quite easy because I did have help from my family, as well as this apartment didn't require that you met a certain amount of things. So for me personally, it was very easy. So a couple tips that I would like to give you guys is, first things first is make sure you know everything about the apartment. Stop. So what I mean by that is what requirements they want you to meet. So do you need a certain amount of credit? Do you need a renter's history? Do you need to make 4 times the rent, 3 times the rent, 2 times the rent? Do they allow pets? What features do they have? Stop. Oh my goodness. A lot of that is important. It does impact. I was gonna say infect. It does impact you getting the apartment or not. So those are reasons why I really suggest getting a phone in your name, or even getting a car and having somebody co-sign on it. All of these things are ways to improve your credit, which, with that being said, you are more likely to get approved for an apartment. Apartment is always like your first stop. It's always going to be something that you're going to build off of and grow from. And so it's always better if you start growing early, so you have some form of experience with paying bills, as opposed to just jumping right in, having no car, paying rent, you know, having a job. Like, it's really a struggle. And that's why I strongly suggest, you know, getting a phone, building your credit. Buy a cheap little car that'll last you 2 to 3 years, so you can really save money. You can get from work to home. You can just save money, and hopefully 2 years down the road you have a good amount of experience with paying bills, that you can buy a nicer car and have a nicer phone, and it won't be stressful for you. One thing I did learn is cut your costs in all ways possible when having your own apartment. Like, don't eat out all the time. That is something that I always did. Like, I was in school, I was always eating out. Like, don't do that. That is one thing that I don't suggest, because it really made me stress about my money. And I hate stressing about money, because it's like, it's just money. But when you pay bills, you always want to make sure that you're on top of it and you're never late, because that does affect your credit. So, you know, cut costs any way possible. Don't eat out. Don't freaking go buy a bunch of makeup. Don't go buy a bunch of clothes. Really play it smart when it comes to your money. Like, honestly, it's going to be a lifesaver. Like, do you need cable? No, nobody uses cable. Netflix and Hulu, those are much cheaper subscriptions than cable. Like, you can subscribe to one of those and be fine. Buying food for the month is going to cost way less than eating out every single day. Like, 90% of my money was going towards food until I went to the grocery store and I was like, you know what, I'm going to change the way I live, and I've saved so much money since then, let me tell you. Another thing is like I said, you don't really need an expensive car right away. Buy something that's going to last you 2 to 3 years and really save your money. Like, that is one way to cut costs. Don't go out and buy a $400 car when you know you have a $1,500 rent payment, plus electricity, plus renter's insurance, plus a phone, plus insurance for the car, plus gas. Like, it's just not a life that you're going to want to live. You're always going to be stressed about money, and nobody wants to be stressed about that. Like, it just sucks. So cut costs every way possible. Another thing, like I already said, is just build your credit any way possible. I kind of scrambled off into something else, but build your credit any way possible. Like I said, a car will do that, a cosign. Utilities also allow you to build your credit. It's going to be really hard for you to get approved for a credit card. Luckily, I was approved for one, so that's also a way that I've built my credit, and it's built my credit fast. So a lot of this stuff kind of will accumulate over time. Another piece of advice that I would give is, if you are going to have roommates. And I cannot stress this enough because I've seen it. This has not happened to me, but I do experience it sometimes, and I've seen it happen with other family members. Is when you choose roommates, choose a roommate that you know that you'll be able to communicate with, that you'll have no problems with communication, a roommate that you know is reliable and honest. Choose a roommate that is just all around a great person, because you don't want to choose somebody that you thought was great and then 3 months down the road they piss you off because they don't clean up after themselves or they're disgusting. Like, you don't want that, because it's just not going to work for you. And if they move out, you're going to have to make up their portion of rent. And if you can't, that's considered breaking the lease, and breaking the lease costs money. So always play it safe when it comes to roommates. Like, that is probably my biggest advice, and I see it happen all the time. Like, people will choose their best friend and then they'll just stop being friends because the roommate ended their friendship. Like, it's just something that you should really, really choose wisely. I've seen it happen tons of times with friends, family. You know, I live with roommates, and sometimes I can get stressed out because they're all boys, one of which is my boyfriend, and they don't clean up after themselves, and it is very stressful. So really, that's all the advice I have. Honestly, everything good comes with time. Don't rush anything. Let everything take its course. If you rush things, you're never going to be able to enjoy it. Like, stop, take in the fresh air. Just don't rush things that don't need to be rushed. Like, I honestly, that's the best advice that I could give you, is don't rush stuff that doesn't need to be rushed. Like, furniture and money and a nice car, and that all comes in time. You just have to be patient. Pursue the things that you love, and everything else will come to you. I know this firsthand. I've had a very rough 2 years, and I've learned so much. But one thing I did realize is I wanted to rush life so bad. I just wanted to grow up and live on my own. And now that I'm doing it, I wish that I would have just taken a break and appreciated the things around me. So if there's one piece of advice that I could give that is actually useful, like, all the other stuff is useful, but something that really does affect you in your everyday life, is don't rush. Like, let everything good come to you. And that's honestly it. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you guys liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you guys would like to see an apartment tour, comment down below and I will be more than happy to film that for you guys. And make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on the post notification bell so you can get notified every single time I post a new video. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!